Sup YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Tay, back at it again with another video. I wanted to touch on a few things. I've been comboing for about an hour and a half. Just going through this deck. Saturday, I'll get into the video about how the locals went the following Saturday, but there's just a few things I want to touch on in terms of the future of Dark Magician, the future of tournaments, and the rule changes of what's about to transpire for not only the Dark Magician as a whole, but just the where Yu-Gi-Oh is going to be heading in, like the direction the game's going to be heading in my opinion, on how it could be better for competitive players, but why it could be bad for like new players. So without further ado, let's get into this video. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Jesse Cotton and a few other YouTubers that I can't think off the top of my head, like the Cali Effect and a few other ones. I went and did my due diligence of my research before I made this video, before I speak on stuff I don't necessarily know. One of the things I want to talk about that has been brought to my attention is the rule changes that are going to be implemented. Specifically, if I remember correctly, it's regionals and above, but it's not going to be implemented for the YCSs just yet, but for the other tournaments. And that is rule changes that are the following: times being changed from 45 minutes to 50 minutes per duel. Judge calls being weighed differently based on the severity of how the judge calls are being called. And what I mean by that is, with the high risk of having tournaments quote unquote being shorter, you're still adding an additional 45 minutes to supposedly if you have 40 minutes instead of 50 minutes per duel. I mean, in theory, they want the event to be shorter, but yet they're not factoring judge calls. We're not factoring how long it takes to put the scores in before the next rounds, and a few other things that they're not factoring in. The next ruling that's changing is, when the time of the round comes, where does that leave the people who have life points that are that are equal? Well, to the jurisdiction of the new rulings, if both players have the same life points, when the time, let's start here. When the time of the round concludes, whatever phase you are in, you have to, the duel ends in that phase. You cannot finish your battle. You cannot finish your main phase one to burn your opponent. You cannot do if you're gonna do plays like Gaga Cowboy, it needs to be 10 seconds prior before the time expires, and things like that. And with the time extension of 50 minutes per duel instead of 45 minutes per duel, it makes it so people value their time more. That's the upside to it. I'll explain the downside to it. But I just think I think there's positives, like there's good outcomes that can come out of this. But for the most part, if you do end your duels with the same life points and you don't end that phase and get damage, you both take a loss. Compared to the old rulings where if you went through and you went to battle and then the time concluded, the duel will not conclude until the whatever phase you're in is fully completed. I think this is going to lead to a lot of problems, especially in bigger tournaments. Those bigger tournaments like YCSs and up are going to be depicted based on rulings, judge rulings specifically, and the game state that you're currently in, because both players will get a loss in round. In the top 64s, obviously, if you don't progress in the top 64 stands, there's no such thing as a draw, obviously. So you just keep going, and you go to the next following game, and then you go to the following new game, I think, if I'm correct. But that's for like bigger events, obviously. For regionals, it's just both players get a loss in round. The downside of this, I'm gonna be real. The craziest downside is new players. You guys think you already, like, the new players already think that it's hard to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! Wait until they figure out that besides locals and below, it's going to be very regionals and below. It's going to be very hard for them to get into the game in terms of a slight competitive edge, even if they do play meta, because this requires new players to value practice more, practice a lot more than they should, and value deck making and a bunch of other things. So new players can't just pick up a deck, be good with it, and also players cannot get away with going X and 1, and then on their final duel they can afford either a draw that guarantees them top 64 and X1, or a loss which puts them a guaranteed damn near in a top 64 event, which, hypothetically speaking, this stops people from being draw merchants. That's an upside. A downside also is people sharking / cheating. People who like milking clocks. Please, excuse me, don't be afraid to call for a judge, especially if you don't understand not only what a card does or what a card interaction is happening, but if you feel like your opponent is slow playing. A lot of people are getting cheated out of tournaments. I've heard this even at the highest level, NAWCQ, people getting sharked. Please tell the judge. I think it's very imperative that you do make them do their job. Very important. Don't allow your opponent to play not making an action for no longer than 30 to 45 seconds without making an action, or else that is considered slow playing. If it's over a minute, that's severe slow playing. It will be a warning, guarantee, no matter what. And if your judge is not giving that warning, appeal it. You are more than welcome to appeal your rights. You have rights in Yu-Gi-Oh! Exercise them. There's players like Charlie and Mario and a few other players that exercise their rights as duelists, and I think that's very, very important for us to do so. Now, in terms of Dark Magician, where does this lead Dark Magician? Well, I think we should invest in cards that benefit us during time. Stuff like Red Eyes Flare Metal, and stuff of that sort. Making the decks that benefits time-oriented cards. With that being said, it's gonna be a weird format with K9 coming out in about a day or two. So don't turn this off, thank you. There's not really too much to say. I wanted to make a video specifically touching on this topic before I go into my regular schedule program. I had a bunch of personal stuff come up on why I didn't make videos, so forgive me for that. But other than that, cue the outro music. Thank you all for watching this video and just sitting down and listening to me ramble for 9+ minutes. You guys are the best. We'll be back to regular schedule program tomorrow, obviously. This is just a video to fill in the gap of the videos I haven't been making. I might double upload today, low-key. If you see a double upload, you're welcome. I love you guys. You guys are the best, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.